We're joined now by Fox 2 Detroit's sports anchor, Woodriffe on the program. Woody, thank you for being with us today.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Wonderful to have you with us. How are you? How's your team at Fox 2 been?
You know what? I have not really seen the team at Fox 2 in quite a few months because I've been working from home since about March. So it has been difficult, but everyone is getting along and everybody's trying to stay healthy.
One of the first things to go away during the pandemic was sports. They're slowly coming back. The Major League Baseball is going to have a shortened season. The NBA is scheduled to revamp their season in Orlando at the end of the month. The NHL is planning a 24-team playoff. Will sports ever be the same after this has passed, or has this changed the landscape of American and even international sports forever?
I would have to say the short answer is no, it will not be the same. I mean, the normal ways of doing business that we used to go through in sports are going to have to be changed radically with COVID-19 and social distancing and things like that. So we're still trying to figure out how it's going to go, where we interact with players or, things like that. But in the meantime, we're just trying to get through. There are international sports like soccer, things are going on that have fans and, are trying to move forward. There's golf going on right now, and I believe they are going to perhaps start to relax that, but I don't think it'll be in time for the Rocket Mortgage Classic at the Detroit Golf Club. But the world will be different when we do get the okay for competitive sports to come back and really play. I mean, everybody's trying to get their season together, but I'm still skeptical on how seasons are going to be played with the protocols in place that you need to offset COVID-19.
I'm kind of concerned about that as well, particularly with the NBA going back into operations in Florida and Orlando in the coming weeks, and there's already been some concerns from players just on the topic of social justice and whether or not this is the right time to be playing basketball, and if that takes away from the messages. And then with COVID-19 seeing a major spike in Florida in the last several weeks, there are a lot of players who have already decided that for the sake of their families, including former Detroit Piston Avery Bradley, now of the Los Angeles Lakers, deciding that they're going to back out. Do you believe the NBA season with the recent spike is in jeopardy of potentially not happening?
No, I don't think so, because if you do go into the quarantine bubble in Orlando, I have to think that the NBA is going to try and do the most to keep you safe while you're in that bubble. So, as teams win and lose, teams will get ejected from that bubble, for lack of a better term, as they lose. So I have to think that the NBA is doing it in a responsible way. They're also giving players the opportunity to opt in or opt out. And as you mentioned, there are some players who have chosen to opt out, and more power to them, because you can't say what's right or what's wrong in this kind of thing. I mean, it's a matter of how you feel and how much risk you're willing to take in a situation where there are tons of unknowns.
Woody Woodriffe with us, one of the sports anchors at Fox 2 Detroit, with us on the Oakland County Megacast. And on that note, a lot of these players that are apprehensive about going there have already opted out, and teams are signing players to bring in as replacements to fill out their rosters. And on top of that, the NBA is also considering allowing players to change their jerseys to allow to have social justice messages potentially on their jerseys during this. And we've seen the different commissioners in all these leagues. We've seen Rob Manfred, Roger Goodell, Gary Bettman, and in the case of the NBA, Adam Silver, handle these situations completely differently in each of these leagues. Do you believe that Adam Silver is doing the best job out of these four commissioners in terms of reading the room, understanding the times, but also doing whatever is possible to continue the operations of basketball?
I would have to agree with you on that statement. I believe that Adam Silver is doing the best job right now. He has his finger on the pulse of the players. He has his finger on the pulse of the communities that are affected by this. And he's got a plan in place to restart his league with considerations for all of that. I mean, the idea that players can have messages on jerseys, I mean, that's fine. I mean, it's a player's platform. Let them, say what they want to say on that platform. So the NBA is showing that they're obviously 100% behind the players, and they're also in the corner of reforms for racial equality and things like that, because I don't see that much. I mean, in baseball, Rob Manfred has imposed basically a season. I mean, there's been a lot of back and forth with contracts and who's going to get paid what and prorated salaries. That seems to take more of the oxygen out of the room than talking about, hey, you have a platform for a chance to talk about equality and things like that. I mean, we've heard baseball players talk about these scenes in Boston at Fenway Park. Specifically, former Tiger Torrey Hunter talked about his experiences there. So obviously there needs to be some changes, and baseball needs to address a lot of that. In the NFL, I think that Roger Goodell is trying, but I think that Roger Goodell is also up against his bosses, the owners. And, you have to remember that all these commissioners work for the owners. So, it's difficult to walk a fine line, but I got to think that Adam Silver is the guy who's successfully navigating that tightrope right now.
He's been doing a fantastic job, and just localizing the return of the NBA. The Detroit Pistons will not be in Orlando. They are not going to be continuing their season or have a potential for getting into the expanded playoff. But they did make some news recently. They finally filled that long vacant slot in their general manager position, hiring Troy Weaver from within the Oklahoma City Thunder organization. Your thoughts on the hire of Troy Weaver? Why him, and why now? Is this a good fit for the Detroit Pistons?
Well, I'll be honest with you, this is a perfect fit. Troy Weaver is a fantastic get. The Pistons had been looking at him not just this year, but last year as well, and they did not get permission from Oklahoma City to talk to him. So now that they have been able to talk to him and bring him in as the general manager, the sky is the limit for what this guy can do with this team. I mean, everybody talks about how he was one of the guys who brought in Russell Westbrook and then turned around and brought in Steven Adams for Oklahoma City. So when you have that level of competency at the general manager spot, then I have to think that the Pistons are in line for some positives, because let's also look at what this does. The hiring of Troy Weaver, along with head coach Dwayne Casey, gives the Pistons a diverse ownership group, something that the NBA has been looking for and lacking in other areas. So now that you have a black general manager, a black head coach here in Detroit, it seems that the Pistons are taking the lead in that diversity challenge in the NBA by making hires like this, and effective hires. So it's not just a token representation. I mean, Troy Weaver comes in with a full resume, ready to go. The only issue I have with Troy Weaver is, will ownership keep their hands off long enough for Troy to do his job? Because you know how it gets. Once things start to get good, a lot of fingers start to dip into the pie. So if we leave Troy Weaver alone, I think that he can turn this team around, starting with job number one, which will be finding a point guard. Whether he finds that in the NBA draft or goes into the league to find an existing point guard, that's something that has to be at the top of the list for the Detroit Pistons.
It absolutely is. Woody Woodriffe with us from Fox 2 Detroit. He's one of their sports anchors. And just on the note of Troy Weaver, he's coming in with basically a blank canvas that's got a lot of pieces to work with. You got Derrick Rose's expiring contract. A lot of contending teams want to pick him up. You got young guys on the squad that are were second-round picks that were developing, like Svi Mykhailiuk and Bruce Brown. You have young talent like Sekou Doumbouya, who's still going to be there, and potential movable picks like players like Blake Griffin, who, with his contract, it's probably not likely that a team wants to go all in for him. But maybe down the line there's a contender and he's healthy that wants to take a risk and pick him up.
I was going to say that Blake Griffin comment seems a bit far-fetched right now, because I don't think that Detroit will be looking to move him. But the other thing that they have to take care of is signing Christian Wood. I mean, he stepped up last year and showed that he can, hold his own here in this league and contribute with points and defense. So he would be a priority as far as getting signed as well. We had some Zoom conversations over the last couple of weeks with Blake Griffin and with Luke Kennard. And Luke Kennard is a specific case, because he says he wants to be more of a leader type of team and wants to contribute more. He was ready to come back when the season was halted. So, there's a lot of attitude adjustment for the positive with the Pistons as they move forward. And Troy Weaver coming in and adding to that can only help this team, because let's be honest, the shorter the rebuild goes, the better off fans will be if they can get a product back on the court that's competitive.
And I think for the first time in a long time, the Pistons have a whole lot of hope behind them that they haven't had, and that's good news for the fan base. So, Woody, just another minute with you before we have to let you go. Baseball is also going to be back. Shortened season, about 60 games, with a youth on the Tigers roster and the talent that they have in terms of veteran leadership, and with the coaching they have in terms of Ron Gardenhire and his team. Do you think a shorter season benefits to the Detroit Tigers, and could this be a surprise team for people this year?
That is the million-dollar question. Can any team make a run in 60 games? Yeah. I mean, any team can, including the Tigers. So, I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility to say that, hey, Detroit has a chance. Everybody has a chance. The thing is that what will we see? I mean, let's be honest. You're only probably going to see like maybe 8 or 10 starts from starting pitchers. So, it's really going to be something where you have to hit the ground running. There's going to be a second spring training going on, so guys can get together like that. But the other thing is the rosters. You'll have 30 guys on the team. You'll also have another 30-man taxi squad, so 60 guys. Will they be able to stay safe with the coronavirus? Will their close proximity be a detriment? These are all questions that still need to come out, and I still don't know how it's going to work out, because that is the number one thing. I mean, I applaud Governor Whitmer in her last executive order that brings it closer together to get competitive sports playing again, but still, you're going to have to deal with social distancing. You're going to have to deal with a lot of things that are still up in the air. So, right now there are sports going on, but as far as on the field sports, I'm still skeptical.
Well, Woody, thank you very much for being with us today. We appreciate having you on.
Thank you. I wish that we really had some time to talk about the Red Wings and the way they got hammered in the NHL draft lottery. That was terrible. Let me just say that, okay? The way the Red Wings got dealt in the draft lottery was horrible. Dropping down to the worst possible position at number 4, okay? And then watching a current playoff team be able to get the number 1 pick. This is garbage. Chaos ensues in the NHL. And I'll tell you right now, a buddy of mine said it best. If Pittsburgh winds up getting Alexis Lafreniere, I'm done with hockey.
Oh, yeah. Big problems coming out. Woody, thank you very much for being with us.